If I just picked up one phone call from one person in an entire year, I'd make over $100,000. This is Monique Walker, and in this video, we're gonna walk through how her and I have made over $1 million each together and how you can network with real estate agents to explode a wholesale business. And this is how you as a wholesaler can create $1 million relationship with a real estate agent. At the end of the video, we're gonna walk you through a current deal that we're in, and we're gonna show you the entire process of how that deal got done. Make sure you keep watching. Hello, Bigger Pockets. We are going to talk about how you can network with real estate agents to explode a wholesale business or your investment business as a real estate investor. Hi, Monique.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is such a fun thing for us to be able to do because you and I have been working together for over a decade. I'm going to walk you guys through how I came into contact with Monique. So as you guys are aware, Bigger Pockets has an agent finder platform that you can network with real estate agents on. So make sure you check that out. But how I found Monique Walker was actually just cold calling her and found her number on Zillow. I literally, simple as that. So I pick up the phone and I called her on a listing that she had. Now, this house that she'd had was having problems selling. It was an on-market deal.
It was atrocious. It was.
Atrocious house. One of these really funky layouts. The seller had done some updates to it, so they had an emotional attachment to the house, raised a family there, they'd spent some money in it, but it wasn't a very functional place. And so it required a tremendous amount of work to get it to retail standards. The exact kind of house that we as wholesalers love to get our hands on because there's an opportunity for somebody to add value to it and increase its ultimate selling price. So I cold call Monique Walker and she begins the interrogation. So it was interesting. I'd love to ask you right off the hop, if you can remember, because this is over 10 years ago.
A long time ago, right?
But what was it about my approach that made you feel comfortable in working with me?
Yeah, and we've talked about this in the past. It was some sort of comfort level in that you were very genuine, you were honest. Obviously, I've had a lot of investor calls. Mind you, I didn't even know what wholesaling was when you called me. Had no idea, and I'd been in the business already for about 9 years. You were just direct, honest, and provided value in that you said, hey, I'd like to write an offer. And guess what? I love to represent the buyer on my listings.
Yes. So I use an approach that I talk about quite often, which is the double dip approach, where you work with a listing agent and have them represent you as well as represent the seller. So how this is great for a realtor is now I've doubly incentivized Monique to make twice as much commission for doing the same amount of work. She's working with me as the buyer, representing me as a buyer. She's also working with the seller. Now, again, this is a limited dual representation, so she's got to get permission from the seller to also represent me. But if she's working with a seller that's easy to deal with, they're not going to have a problem. At the end of the day, sellers just want their home sold. Real estate agents just want to do a good job for their clients. And me as a buyer, I just want to acquire the house or acquire the contract for the house so I can ultimately sell it. Now, what's interesting about this first deal is I actually had to cancel on it. I had to cancel on it. Now, again, I hate that. I have a really good batting average with Monique. Would you say that out of 10 contracts, how many do you think I actually perform on?
9.
9. So I have a great batting average, right? 9 out of 10 deals I perform on, but it sucks when the first deal out the gate, you swing and you miss. But here's the reality, right? When I talked to Monique, she had said one thing that I think stands out. It was the honesty. I was very honest with Monique about what I was trying to accomplish in the house. And for her, I was also very honest about why I had to cancel the deal. And as somebody in her spot that hadn't had any success in selling the property up to that point, she just realized that I did the best that I could in the time that I had to try to make it work. Now, I want to ask you, from that position, did that give you pause in potentially working with me on future deals?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So remember that, right? Your past performance is always going to be an indicator of what your current or future performance will be. And so I was definitely not in the best books for Monique Walker at that specific time. However, because I was honest, genuine, and I just was really sorry that we couldn't make the deal work for all of the reasons that we knew the property had some challenges with it, Monique decided to give me another shot. And so instead of running away and ghosting her or being strange and weird, which a lot of wholesalers or investors will do if they can't make a deal work, they get strange, they get weird, they stop picking up the phone, they play the ghost game. And that is the worst way to ever handle a relationship. Think about it. If you've got friends and things are going wrong, maybe a significant other or whatever, and you're trying to communicate through a problem, the worst thing that you can ever do is run away. The best thing that you can ever do is solve it, confront the situation, speak about it like an adult, and then move on and carry on like nothing happened, right? And so that's exactly what we did. So you had another house.
I did.
So walk us through that one.
Wow. Okay. So mind you, the first house that he wrote an offer on had been on the market for a few months.
Right.
So that's significant and important, right?
Right.
Because I was open to options and creativity. Now this next house I had on the market for several months as well.
I think 6.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was about to have the listing expire, right? Awful. No options, right? It was very personalized. So the seller actually built the house handicapped. So obviously now it's very for a specific market. It was on a really, really big lot, and it was a really big house, and there was like 2 bedrooms, and it was like 6,000 square feet.
Yeah, it was a 6,000 square foot luxury mansion.
Right.
That was basically just handicap accessible. So lots of ramps, lots of travertine.
Right.
Oh my God,
Right.
so much. A fish tank that we had to deal with.
Exactly.
There was a lot of things that were going on, and Monique had trouble selling the house because, let's be real, right? Who wants to buy a 2-bedroom, 6,000 square foot mansion with ramps? Not a lot of people.
Although it was in a beautiful neighborhood,
Yes,
right?
actually the neighborhood that I live in right now.
Exactly. And it wasn't about, was it an acre and a quarter?
Little over an acre.
Yeah.
That was the highest and best use that I saw, right? So everybody that Monique was working with at the time was looking at the mansion. And even the buyers that you were looking at were focused on the mansion.
Just the mansion, like how can I refurbish, remodel, change, but that was it. They were going to occupy the property.
Right.
And then Jamil comes along.
I came along and I saw a higher and better use. And this is the other thing that you want to provide real estate agents is value. You want to provide value in understanding creative or other ways to find a higher and better use for a property that might give the agent options on a deal. Now on this specific house, because we were sitting on over an acre and we had the correct zoning, the way that I saw it was, let's not look at the mansion. Let's look at the land under the mansion. What if we knock the mansion down? And a lot of people would say, why would you ever knock a newly built 6,000 square foot mansion down? But I understood that the value was not in the house. You could salvage all the materials in the house, and that ultimately is what happened. A lot of the material was recycled and reused, so good stuff there. But really the value was in the land, and when we broke it apart, the land was actually worth way more than what Monique was trying to sell the mansion for. So think about that. Almost 6 months on the MLS, no bites, no offers, because everybody's focused on the mansion. I came in and looked at what was the mansion was sitting on, and we were able to package that deal up, sell it to a developer, and make a tremendous amount of money each. We both made over 5 figures on that deal, and it was phenomenal, right? It was a great opportunity. She looked like a rock star to her client. She got the double end with me, but then Monique realized that, hey, this guy is on to something. I think I need to find out a little bit more about what Jamil's business is.
Exactly.
Because she saw like, wow, he was able to bring a buyer to the table. The MLS wasn't able to sell this.
Where are all these buyers coming from? Where are they? I don't have them.
Yes.
Why do you have them?
Right. So we got to sit down and I got to talk to Monique about the second thing that I think you need to bring to a real estate agent, and that's value. Bring value to the realtor. So now for Monique and I, in our relationship, we understand that I need to be a tool in Monique's tool belt for her retail real estate business. Now, how do you leverage me as a wholesaler as a tool in your retail business?
It's wonderful to have Jamil as a tool because it's an option, right? I need to come in. My duty, my fiduciary duty is to get my sellers the very best price, typically in the quickest amount of time or the time frame that they need, right? And so many of them say, well, I don't want to spend the money, spend the time. I live out of state. Like I need an offer today cash, or I'd like to, or wow, that's an option, right? And let's just say that it's a hoarder house. So there's a lot of repairs, like they don't have relationships here. Wow, they'll take care of buying it as is. They'll take care of leaving all the personal belongings. Let's just say it is a hoarder house.
Right.
I wouldn't want to touch anything. No, like here's an option. I'm not encouraging you one way or another because I'd love to list it and help you get it into good showing condition. But if you didn't want to do that, like here's another option where we can close in 2 weeks and then you don't have to worry about anything. So it's been a tremendous value to my clients.
To her clients.
Yeah.
And so the relationship here is such that I never expect Monique to bring me every opportunity or to try to convince her sellers to do business with me. Because again, as the real estate agent that has a fiduciary duty to her sellers, she has to take care of their best interests, right? And sometimes their best interest is a cash offer. Sometimes their best interest is the highest offer, and sometimes their best interest is somewhere in the middle. And she's going to make a determination with that seller what's going to work out best for them. But another way that I bring Monique value is I help her with her marketing. So I understand that as a real estate agent, there is a tremendous amount of marketing that you need to do in order to get in front of sellers, and that marketing can be expensive. So one of the budgetary items that I spend every single month is marketing dollars for Monique. Now, her and I go after a specific niche style of property, and that's probate leads. So we send out a mailer every 2 weeks, and it costs somewhere in the $1,000 to $1,500 a month range. It's not a big investment, but that investment ties Monique and I together on those specific kinds of deals. Now, again, when she's talking to these homeowners or these personal representatives that are now in charge of the estate to deal with this probate situation, she can provide them this cash solution. And because I paid for that marketing, Monique feels like offering that solution to them is top of mind because they remember the letter that they read. They remember the fact that Monique sent them that letter, and she remembers that I helped pay for that. So I'm adding value in all of the instances in this specific situation. Now, of those deals, how many of them would you say actually end up being deals that I do with you?
You are the only one that actually closes a property, but I would say that half the time they list,
right?
Let's say 25% of the time they keep it, and then perhaps another, 25% of the time, we close it.
Yeah, and guys, for me, the ROI on that $1,000 or $1,500 a month spend is incredible. I can make $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in a month from that one spend. So I don't care that she's getting the additional listings and she gets to keep all of that money. It's not my business. And I don't care that the sellers will keep 25% of those properties as well, because I'm only after the circumstances and the situations where I'm actually the best solution. So this is something that you have to know as wholesalers. We don't want to hoodwink anybody into doing business with us. To be an ethical wholesaler is to be the person that's the best option for that circumstance, and knowing when you're not the best option. Now, the third thing that I want you to keep in mind when Monique and I are working together is incentivization, right? It's really important that when you work with a real estate agent, that you work with them not from a service provider-client relationship, but try to build a partnership. Monique, in the decade that we've worked together, how important has it been for you that you and I have evolved into a partnership where you participate in the deals that I'm involved in?
It's incredible because, the retail business is, I would say, 80% of my business. I mean, it's a big deal. However, since the market's shifted and changed, and we've experienced this working together for a decade, there's some markets where the retail market is so strong. So we're listing and we're selling properties in a couple days or a week. But now that the market's shifted, we're close to 7% interest rates. The market has softened, right? And now there seems to be more opportunities for us. So now our wholesale investor market has increased. And to have that additional leg in the business, that additional source, it's tremendous. I mean, our business is probably 40% of my business today.
Right.
Versus maybe like 10%, in 2020, 2021,
right,
when the market was going straight up.
Exactly. And that didn't make me salty or make me feel like Monique and I are not doing as much. I just realized that Monique is doing what she's got to do that's best for her client right now. We still stayed in touch. We still communicated, and I still followed up. She still followed up with me. We maintained the relationship, but I understood right now it's not the best time for us to do a lot of deals. But right now, it's a great time, right? We've been doing a lot of business in the last little while. In fact, we're going to walk through a deal where her and I just recently we're going to make $30,000 on it. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the incentivization, right? So look at the structure of what that looks like. First and foremost, when Monique is representing me as a buyer and the seller as a seller, she gets double the commission. That means 6%. But as a real estate agent, 6%, you kind of cap out at that 6%. A lot of the houses that we work on are $200,000 or $300,000 homes. So even if you're getting 6% of it, it's not a lot of money for you.
Exactly.
Because she works in a luxury space, right? So what's your average commission?
$12,000.
$12,000 is Monique's average commission, right? And that's 3% typically, right?
Typically.
So you can kind of start doing the math about where the price point is that Monique plays in.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about these $200,000 hoarder houses that she has to throw her shoes away after walking through,
True.
They're not really the best deals for you to want to be involved in.
No, it's not exciting. However, it is now.
It is now, because what I have worked out with Monique is how she can throw the 6% away and where she can represent me. And now in representing me, I get to decide how much I want to pay Monique. This is a really great hack for any of you guys that are building relationships with real estate agents and how you can have the agency relationship work to your benefit. So what Monique does when she's working with me, with a specific seller, she will ask a seller if they're interested in my cash offer. Now, if they're interested in my cash offer and the seller, for whatever reason, may be tight on their finances or tight on their money, what Monique will offer them is a situation where they don't pay her any commission. Now, think about how attractive that would be to a homeowner or a potential seller. When a real estate agent says to you, I'm going to not only bring you the buyer, but I'm not going to have you pay me. I'm going to make the buyer pay my commission. And the sellers, what is their typical response when you tell them that?
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
And of course, it's now having them be an unrepresented seller and giving them that option. Like, Mr. Seller, if you'd like for me to represent you, I'm happy to. It would just be 6% commission. Or you can take the cash offer, there's no commission. My buyer is going to pay me. I'm fine with either, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, for the right situation, the cash offer is going to be the right choice.
It's usually the one that they pick, because when they do the math and they're like, well, I could work with Monique. We could list it on the market. Time, money, energy, risk, all the things. Because even if a seller does a renovation and does some improvements, who's to say that the people are going to really like them, right? Because we know that not everybody's taste is what people want.
And with rates where they are today, where is the market going to be in 30, 60, 90 days?
Right.
It's uncertain at the moment.
Now, how I incentivize Monique in those situations where I pay her is I let Monique participate in 50% of the profits that I make in a wholesale deal. So I'm going to walk through a deal that Monique and I are in right now, call it the Vista deal. We're going to walk through the math on what that deal would have looked like if Monique sold it to a potential buyer as a listing agent, sold it to me and represented me and the seller, or let the seller get a full net cash offer and how much money she's going to make with me participating in the deal. So let's walk through each of those circumstances. Now, if you were the listing agent and we ended up doing the deal at $216,000, so if you were the listing agent and you only got 3%, $216,000 on 3% of that is
a whopping $6,400.
So not terrible, but for somebody who's making $12,000 on average, not really the best use of your time.
Right.
Now, if Monique can talk to the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm going to be represented by Jamil. I'm going to take the 3% from him, and you're going to pay me the 3% from you. That's 6% of $216,000. So if we do 6% of $216,000, $12,960, which is great, but that's $12,960 that the seller won't get now. So when we take that off of the $216,000, now the seller's only netting $203,000, which is kind of sad, right? Because they're not going to get as much money. Good for Monique, because Monique's getting $12,000. Good for me, because I'm getting the property, but the seller, they're not getting the best deal here. Now, the way that Monique and I work this specific deal is we still did the deal at $216,000, but she did a net deal where the seller was getting net $216,000 to them. Now, as a wholesaler, I typically pay all closing costs. So this is actually a net price to the seller. So at $216,000, the seller walks away with it. As the wholesaler, I was actually able to make a $30,000 assignment fee, taking a fee from a fix and flipper, and I'm making my money, our money, off of the potential that could be gained or realized in the property once renovation is done. That equity doesn't exist until value and risk is taken in that property, but an investor is willing to basically prepay me for the opportunity to make that money. Now, I was able to make a $30,000 assignment fee, but because Monique and I participate in these deals together, she gets half. Yes, half, guys. So I get to walk away as a wholesaler with $15,000. Monique gets to walk away with $15,000, which is more money than she was going to make as a real estate agent representing both the seller and me as the buyer, and the seller gets more money. This is how you create a win-win-win situation for the homeowner, for the real estate agent, and for the wholesaler.
It's as if I just sold a $500,000 home.
Right.
It's a win. It definitely is. And I'll tell you what, one of the biggest wins for me too, is I have about 150,000 happy clients who are going to continue to refer business to me and who I'm going to continue to work with. So that, that's an addition to, value add for me.
Right.
Happy clients,
is more business.
Is more business.
More referrals.
Yeah, it's really neat to be able to have those long-standing relationships because that's where the repeat and referral, business comes from, right?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Guys, this is how you as a wholesaler can create $1 million relationship with a real estate agent. And I want you to think about that just in terms of the value, right? If I just picked up one phone call from one person in an entire year, I'd make over $100,000 just by answering one call. You can do the exact same thing. Go to the Bigger Pockets Agent Finder and start making relationships and find your Monique Walker today. Monique, before we wrap up the video, could you give any aspiring wholesalers 3 tips on how they should work with or approach real estate agents?
All right, awesome. Number 1 is be honest, have transparency, have it be a nice conversation like you've had with someone who's a dear friend of yours. Number 2 is know your stuff, be an expert, know the industry, know the terms, know the jargons that we use so that you sound professional, someone I would want to work with, right? And number 3 is you've got to be consistent. You got to hustle. You got to make those calls. So talk to the agents, have 10, 20 conversations a day.
50.
You will find your Monique Walker. It just takes time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was incredible, Monique. And for any of you guys that are looking to work with somebody like Monique Walker, make sure you check out the Bigger Pockets Agent Finder. It is the incredible tool that'll connect you with real estate agents that want to work with investors. So make sure you check out the Bigger Pockets Agent Finder tool. Thank you so much, Bigger Pockets, for spending some time with us and learning how I have made over $1 million and how Monique has made over $1 million working with me. Now, if you guys, yes, if you guys want to learn more from me, you can find me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jamil Damji. Follow me on IG at JDAMJI or Facebook, Jamil Damji. Monique, how do people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So go to moniquesells.com, my website, or Instagram me at MoSellsAZ. Would love to be your Phoenix, Scottsdale real estate resource. Any questions you have, message me, email me. Love to hear about your success.
Thanks for watching Bigger Pockets. We will see you in the next one.